Hello, I am Prakash, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, AJK College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. Today I am going to present you the topic of Rdbms and Oracle Programming. What is Rdbms? Some of the people know what is Relational Database Management System. Some of the people may not know. So, the relational data, it is the relevant data that is used to store the data where it is already hidden. So we need to extract the data where it is already stored. So that is the relational database. So we have to extract the data from where the data that is already hidden. So here we are going to present the topic of Rdbms. So going to the definition and going to the abbreviation of Rdbms, Relational Database Management System. So regarding this program or regarding this table, we are going to present the data, or we are going to extract the data, or we are going to use the data with the help of the tables. So what is a table? Table is generally we are meaning that it is the combinations of rows and columns. So each and every particular data that is already derived or already controlled over there, we are going to present in the row wise and column wise. So each and every particular data that is stored in the format of tables. So what is a table and how it is related to the next level of generation? So a table consisting of fields, records and record sets. So each and every this record sets and table fields will come to the topic under the cell wise or row wise or column wise. So now we are going to present the same thing of the records. Each and every particular Rdbms records table consisting of database table rows. So each and every rows will consisting of the row wise data and the column wise the parallel data. So each and every data that we are going to enable in these things is called as a table. We can add n number of rows and n number of columns to add the data and the data elements, whatever we are going to enable. So each database table row consisting of one or more database fields. So database fields which consisting of whatever the thing which is in the row wise or column wise, whatever the thing. So we must here to relate the data, whatever it may be. So this relation is mainly used for the database programming. So how we are going to extract the data which is already created. So we are using the different commands here. So according to the relational database programming, we are using the language that is called as a structured query language. So what is SQL? So SQL stands for the definition for structured query language. We are giving a query to the system to create the table in the order of rows and columns. So in this particular way, we are using the 5 or the major commands for creating the table. So what are the 5 major commands? First we have to create the table. So first command is used is called create. Second one, we have to, after the creation of the table is finished, then we have to insert the elements. So what are the elements you are going to insert? You are going to insert the numerical values, you are going to insert the character values, you are going to insert the varchar values or both the numerical and characters. So all these things combine to form a creation of a particular table and the needed data set. For example, we can say the student database management system. So in this student database system, we are able to identify what are all the basic inputs of a particular student. So if a college student is studying a particular course, so he is studying his role, he will get the roll number, his name, his or her personal details, then semester 1 mark, semester 2 mark, then percentage of marks in semester 1, then the total, then percentage, then CGPA, whatever these things. So these are all the continuously form the entire database. So in this, for a particular student in a particular class, we are needed to create a table. So we have to, the first and the foremost important thing, we have to collect all the particular requirements that is already needed. So whenever the requirements is collected from a particular student database system, we need to create a table. So what are all the formats, what are all the elements, what are all the inputs that is needed for inserting or creating the table. First you have to give the command that is called create, then you have to give the keyword is called table, then you have to give a table name. So when you are using the table name, you must be very formally, you must not use any special characters or any numerical values or something, you must only give the character values. From A to Z you have to give the character values. That is called as the table name. For example, we can say create table, you have given student. So student is the table. So before you are creating that command or the table rows, you have to define the syntax of that particular create command. So whenever you are using that command, you have to get the syntax. What is the syntax of create? What is the syntax of insert command? What is the syntax of drop table? What is the syntax of delete table? So all these things combine to form a two different languages. So create is the command that is formally used as a data definition language. So what is the data definition language? It is normally called as a DDL. Other things or other commands will call as a DML language. What is a DML means? That is data manipulation language. So this data manipulation language will have the whole priority of making the table structure, the row wise and also in the column wise. So all these things globally form the relational database programming, that is called structured query language. So in this thing we are going to create the 5 different commands. So creating the table, then you have to insert the in the create table you have to give the values. So the values are the two different types, on the column type value and the data type. So column type you have to give the names of the particular record set, whatever it is used in the entire database. So for example, if you are using the student, you have to give the roll number. So roll number is the first record set. Then you have to give the name of the student, that is the second record set. Then you have to give the date of birth of a particular student, that is the third record set. Like this you are giving n number of data sets which is already required for to create the database. So that is the main important factor. After you are inserting, after you are creating the particular table values, all you are giving, the next second option is you have to go for the insert table values. Okay, insert into student values. So that is the syntax. So that is the particular syntax used for creating the database or inserting the values into the database. So insert into student values. After that, when you are inserting whatever the column set which you have already defined in the create command, the particular create command value should be inserted in this command. Insert into student values, open a bracket, you have to give the single quotes. If you are already declared as a name tag, then you have to give it as a Ram. Then you have to give it as Suresh. Then you have to give it as another name. By this, each and every particular row wise, you must create the inserting the data. So each inserting the data set. Okay. So after that, your completion of that particular data set, you need to categorize the list of items which is already stored there. So that the categorization of the list of data items which is already stored there, you have to give it there. So that is the main important factor. The third most important thing is you have to select command. So what is the select command? By using this select command, we can instantly view the table in the format of whatever the thing which we have already declared in the integer data type or long data type or varchar data type, whatever the data type which already it is inbuilt inside the RDBMS library file system. So in this RDBMS library file system, all the database column values, column types which is already stored there. Each and everything will have this particular structure over there for creating the table. So first you have to create the table, then you have to insert the values. After inserting the values, the third important factor is you have to select that particular table. So the syntax used for selecting that particular table or viewing the particular table is select star from student. So this is the syntax that is used for selecting a particular table and viewing in an order, viewing in a particular order. So that is the select command. The next fourth command is you to dropping the table. If you want to delete the entire table values or column values or row values, if you decided to entirely delete the entire table, you need to give the command name is called drop. DROP. That is the drop command which is used to drop or delete the entire table in a particular database. So next important thing is called delete command. So what is the difference between the drop command and the delete command? So drop is the command that is mainly used for deleting the entire table from the records from the database. But delete is different from drop. So when you are using the delete command, you are intended to say that you are deleting a particular row or a particular column. So that is the difference between the drop command and the delete command. So if you are using this delete command, so you are intended to do something changes, doing some changes or deleting some rows that is unwantedly you stored with the user, or some column. You can simultaneously you can delete the rows and columns. So that is your factor. Next important thing is you have to make in the process. Okay, delete command. Then when you want to add some fields, when you are decided to add some row-wise factors or column-wise factors, you need to use the command called alter, ALTER. So this alter command that is mainly used for adding a particular existing column or an existing row which is already there. Okay, so alter table name, then you have to give the name of the particular column value type that you are going to add there. That is the alter command. The next command is, these are all the data manipulation languages commands. The only DDL, that is the data definition language command, is only create. When you are creating the table, this particular create command is only comes under the factor of data definition language. All the commands which comes under the DML commands, that is called data manipulation language commands. So this command will have the particular structure over there. So the last one we are going to see that update command. So what is an update? So update command, that is already it is mean that we are updating the column value types or we are updating the row value types. So when all these things comes under the first or the last level of the category, that is based on this update command. So you are going to update the entire table which is already stored in this particular value. So that is called update command. So you are giving the syntax for all the update command. That particular update command will have the imperial factor of this creating the entire database. Okay. So first you are going to create the table, then you are going to insert the values. The third and most important thing, you have to select the particular table which is already given as the particular data set. So next important factor is you are going to alter the table. So how you are going to alter the table is you are giving the query alter, you have to give the table name, then you have to give the table factors. Next one important thing is you have to give the update command. So what is an update command? That particular update command which is already used as the factor of you are updating all the required database according to this particular thing. So that is called as an update command. So all these things will come under the factor of data definition languages and the data manipulation languages. Now we are going to see about the difference between the RDBMS and DBMS. So what are the main difference between the RDBMS part and the DBMS part? So the first and the foremost important point you are going to see about the DBMS, that is the database management system that stores the data either in the navigation form or in the hierarchy form. So what is the navigation and what is the hierarchy? So navigation is the process, or it is the definition by giving that it is the position that is already just stored there. That is the navigation. So finding the best route. So in general terms we say that navigation is the finding the best route to reach the destination. So that is the general format. What is the process or what is the definition that is used in DBMS part? So as per the DBMS, what is the navigation is used here in this term? So navigation is used to here finding the best way of storing the data in the table format, or finding the best way of positioning the data that is already stored or already it is hidden. That is called navigation, finding the best path to reach the destination. Next one, hierarchy. Hierarchy, or we know that from the top order level to the bottom level. So that is the general term. So in this two different ways in DBMS, this data has been stored. This is the first point in DBMS. Whether the same thing we are going to RDBMS, it uses a tabular structure. So we have already told that 5 different commands that is used in this tabular format. So in this thing, this RDBMS are already stored the data in the table structure. What is the table structure? So it is the combinations of rows and columns which we have already seen that. So the data which is already stored in the table in the format of row wise and the column wise. So when we are as a user, we are used to or we are need to store the program, or we are need to retrieve the data whenever we need it. So that is the only purpose of the database which is stored. What is the database? So database has the definition of it is already stored a 500 number of data or a 600 number of data or whatever the data count it may be. It is stored in a particular database server. So it is already stored. So when a particular student or when a particular person needs a particular data from the 1000 database, so he is given as the authority to retrieve the data from the stored database. only the process of retrieval it is done, only the data is stored. If it is not stored, we cannot retrieve the data. So that is the basic concept. So this RDBMS uses a table structure, so where the headers and the column names and the rows contain the corresponding values. So headers you are giving, the column names you are giving, and the values. So these are the three different things that is used for tabular format of the structure that is used here. That is the RDBMS level of data. So this is the thing. DBMS supports the single user only. So in DBMS we are using the single format of user. So what is the single format of user and what it supports the multiple users. So when you are using the DBMS concept, in this DBMS concept we are using only the single user. Only the database which is already stored, while it is manipulated, only the single person can inherit the data and he can use the data whenever he is needed. The same thing when we are comparing to the RDBMS. In RDBMS, that particular table format of data can be used by the multiple users. That is the only advantages of using the RDBMS. That is the multiple users can make the process on the same data. For example, we can say many examples. For example, a class having a 30 number of students. If that particular class, for example, you can say first BCA. In that first BCA, there are 30 students. So for the 30 students, there are so many subjects. Okay, so many teachers, faculties are handling different subjects. So when that particular class are going to handling the data, okay, so if we are adding the marks, okay, if it is first internal, we are adding the marks into the same particular class. So we are adding the marks into the same table. All the multiple users are entering the different marks of their particular subject in the same time. That is only possible when we are using an RDBMS. In this DBMS, it is not useful because it is the single user system. But RDBMS is a multiple user system because we can access the table in a multiple users at the same time. Okay, if there are 10 different faculties are handling the particular class to the particular different subject to the particular class, for English, Maths, CEC, Lab, whatever it may be. So all the different faculties are entering the different marks of their particular subjects in the same time. Means that is possible only when we have that particular database. It is stored in the format of table structure. Okay, it is stored in the rows and columns. That is only possible in RDBMS. Coming to the third point, in a regular database, okay, in the regular DBMS database, the data will not be stored the following asset model. Okay, what is an asset model? So this can develop the inconsistencies of the database. So when you are using this asset model, okay, it make the inconsistency. So what is the data inconsistency? So when we are, there may be the loss of data. So that is the inconsistency. The loss of data occurs, it is possibly occurs in when we are using the DBMS. Why this loss of data occurs means only the single user system that is used in DBMS. So that may be the reason of the loss of data when we are using for the database management system. The same thing when we are going for the RDBMS part. So in the relational database format, this asset property, that is the atomicity, consistency, isolation and durability. All these four things are successfully inherited in this RDBMS concept. Okay. So what is atomicity? What is consistency of the data? Then isolation. Isolation means making the data process individually processed under the same time. Okay. That is called atomicity and isolation. So durability. So what is the durability? So long-lasting usage of that particular table, that is called durability. So we can use that particular table format whenever it is needed until that particular process has been already stored in the database storage system. That is called as a asset properties. That is called atomicity, consistency, isolation and durability of that particular format. Next important thing is, it is the program for managing the database. So this DBMS is a particular program for managing the database on the computer networks on the system hard disk. So when we are going for computer networks, so if there is a data, we need to translate the data from the one particular source to destination. We need the network connection. Without network connection, whether it is wired connection or wireless connection, whatever it may be, we need the data translation only with the help of the data networks. The computer networks is only the prior system used for delivering, or we are connecting the system between the two different systems. Okay, two different systems when it is connected through the help of the network. Only the network that is connected, all these things will useful for the data translation. So in this DBMS concept, so all this the DBMS concept is a program managing the databases on the computer networks and the system hard disk. So when you are using the system hard disk, what is the purpose of using the hard disk? To storage. So there may be different kind of storage of the system that may be consistently it is working in. So what is the data storage? In the computer hard disk only all the particular data from A to Z, what you are working, what you are saving, what you are processing, what you are manipulating, what you are evaluating, all the different set of data or different kinds of data, whatever you are manipulating there, that is already stored in this hard disk. So that is the thing. Next we are comparing to the RDBMS thing. It is a database system which are used for maintaining the relationship. So there may be different kinds of tables or different types of tables. You are relating all those tables with the particular keys. There are so many keys that is available in RDBMS thing. So what are the keys? Whether it may be said as primary key or whether it is maybe foreign key or a conjugate key, whatever it may be. By using these different kinds of keys, we can relate two different tables or another two different tables with the relational thing. For example, we can say that each and every particular table, okay, if there's a table called as a student table or employee table or a ERP table, so three different tables. So how we can relate with these different tables with a single common factor that is called primary key. So primary key is a unique key identification for relating the one or more tables. So that is called as a primary key. For example, each of everyone we are having the Aadhaar card number. So what is the Aadhaar card number? So by the help of this Aadhaar card number, it is a 12-digit factor. So using this 12-digit factor, we can use this 12-digit as a primary key. By using this particular 12-digit factor, we can retrieve the particular citizen of India's database from the entire database server. That is the main thing. So this unique identification number is called as a primary key notification. By using this number, we can retrieve the data of a particular citizen of India. So that is the unique identification number that is given as a 12-digit factor. So it is a database system which are used for maintaining the relationship among the different number of tables. Next one, when you are comparing to the third point of the low software and hardware needs, low number of software when it is comparing to the DBMS. Okay, the applications whatever we need, the software whatever we need, so that is the factor we need for compressing all over the hardware needs. So whatever the software we are having, that number of hardware needs also will be arised in the DBMS. When we are saying comparing to the RDBMS part, higher hardware and software is needed. So in DBMS we need the lower hardware, in the RDBMS we need the higher hardware of this particular database storage in the tabular format. So next important factor is we need to, the DBMS does not support the distributed database. So what is a distributed database? So all the database that is already stored in a common factor that is called distributed thing, we need to share the data, we need to share the data process with the single user system, because we are seeing from the last, we are using this particular DBMS concept is used for only the single user system. By using this single user system, we are enabling the process of distributed database, because one single person cannot do all the database programs, all the database connectivity which is already combined in this factor. The same thing we are comparing to the RDBMS, that is called, this RDBMS offers the support for distributed database, because the multiple users are used here, okay, the multiple number of users or multiple number of programmers or the database managers are used here in this particular format of using the data in the tabular form. When we are coming to the next point, this DBMS does not support the integrity constraints. So what is an integrity? So integrity is the general term when we are comparing to the combination of different factors, that is called integrity. When we are in general term, we can say it as national integrity. What is a national integrity? Different opinions but the same concept, that is called as an integrated concept. Okay, that is called integrity constraints. So integrity constraints does not support here in the DBMS. The integrity constraints are not imposed at the file level. So when you are using the file, when you are using the record, when you are using the record data set, all these things does not support in the format of DBMS. So integrity constraint is not supported in the DBMS. While taking as in the part of RDBMS, we can say that this particular integrity constraints are supported in fully supported in the RDBMS thing. So, and the values beyond a defined range cannot be stored in the particular RDBMS column. The values which is beyond the range values, because all the particular data types which we are declared inside the program. For example, we can say that varchar is a data type, varchar is a data type, character is a data type, string is a data type. So all these data types we are having that a particular range value. So this particular range value we cannot exceed that. So the values beyond the defined range, okay, already stored range, we cannot define that particular range value. So that is stored in this particular RDBMS column. Next important thing. This DBMS does not support the normalization factor. So what is a normalization? So we can say that 1NF, 2NF, 3NF, all these things. So what is this? It's a normalization factor, normal form, okay? 1 normal form, 2 normal form. What is the normalization? So this normalization does not support the in this DBMS, that is the database management system. The same thing, this normalization is fully supported in the RDBMS point of view. So the DBMS system mainly deals with a small quantity of data, because in the beginning we say that the single user system only used in this DBMS. Based on this first point, we can say that this system is mainly deals with only the minimum quantity or minimum quality of data, because here we are not dealing with the tables. DBMS is not dealing with the tables, rows or columns, nothing, because it is just giving a statement. So when it is compared to the RDBMS, here we are storing the huge amount of data or huge amount of data that is already stored, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, whatever the data may be, because here we are storing the data in the format of table. So table we have already seen that is a combinations of rows and columns. So whatever the primary key you are inserting, whatever the constraint key you are inserting, whatever the foreign key you are inserting, all the tables that store that particular key values, because we have only the storage of purpose of we are creating the primary key and other keys, only then we can relate the two different tables. That is called relational database. We can relate the data with the one different table to the another table. That is the relational database management system. That is the RDBMS. So that is a name, that is a factor that is already just given. So it offers the support for the distributed databases. So it designed to handle a large amount of or a huge amount of data which is already stored. Next one, data fetching is slower for the complex and large amount of data. You are fetching the data, you are gathering the data, or you are consuming the data in a very slower format in DBMS. When it is compared to RDBMS, it is already data fetching is very fast and the rapid, because it's a relational approach, because the repeated data are not inserted in the RDBMS thing. So the repeated data is just not inserted. So that is the main reason of the rapid fast of fetching the data from the database. That is the main important factor. The next important thing is we are going for the introduction of the database normalization. So what is the normalization factor that we are going to see now? So database normalization is the process of organizing the attributes of the database to reduce or eliminate the data redundancy. So what is data redundancy? So data repetition must not come in RDBMS. That is the main factor, because once the data is repeated once again means that is the huge level of loss of data will be occur in this RDBMS. For avoiding that, for avoiding the data redundancy or data repetition of data, it is not, because if the data is repeatedly coming, we cannot identify which is the original data and which is the duplicate data. So without that particular data repetition, we are consuming the level of the process of data redundancy. So that is the consuming the factor. So that is called as a normalization, because the repetition of data coming simultaneously or randomly, we cannot identify which is the correct data and which is the inaccurate data. So that is the main important factor. So that is the data redundancy, having the same data but different places. Okay, same particular data in the different places. Next important thing is data redundancy unnecessarily increases the size of the database, because one duplication of data repeatedly coming means the storage level will also increase. So we need to avoid them. So that is the main important factor. So the data redundancy unnecessarily increase the size of the particular database as the same data is repeated in many places. So in the same particular data, all the data is repeated once in a particular thing. Next one, the data inconsistency. Inconsistency problems also arise during the inserting the data, deleting the data and updating the operation. So this is the important factor that we are going for the normal form. So next thing, next important factor, we are going for the normalization. So this is the process of minimizing the redundancy. So what is normalization means? It is the process of minimizing. We are going for the minimizing process, minimizing the data repetition. So no repetition must come in RDBM. That is the main important factor. So from a relation of a set of relations, okay, from a set of relation or a grouping up of a relation. When we are having that particular relation over there, that particular table may be consistently can come across from this thing. So redundancy in relation may cause the insertion, deletion and updating the anomalies. So each and everything will come under the concept of this data redundancy concept. So relation may cause the insertion of this thing and whatever the alteration that is given as per the format of we are using this. So it helps to minimize the redundancy in the relations. Whatever the relations you are handling over there, that particular relations will have the concept of solving all the particular table queries which is already inserted inside the particular table. Next one, normal form. So what is this normal forms? Normal form used to eliminate or reduce the redundancy in the database tables. So we are using the data repetition here. So that is the to reduce the redundancy or eliminate or reduce the redundancy in the database tables which is already created over there in the particular process. Next important thing, if a particular relation contains the composite or multi-value attribute. So what is a multi-valued attribute? So it is the relation containing the composite values or a multi-valued attribute. It violates first normal form. What is violation? Going beyond the rules or breaking the rules, that is called violation. So that particular violation comes under this first normal form, that is called 1NF. So this 1NF here consistently we are saying that first normal form or relation in this first normal form does not contain any composite or multi-valued attribute. So what is a multi-valued attribute? Just we are going beyond or breaking the procedures, or we are eliminating the procedures according to the data which is already consistent inside that particular table. So that is the meaning. So this is the relation contain the composite or multi-valued attribute. So what are the attributes? So even we can say that different arguments are used there, or we can say that different attributes are used there. We can say any words. Okay. So it violates the first normal form or relation in a first normal form. The next important thing is a relation. A relation in the first normal form if every attribute in that relation is single valued attribute. Okay, so single valued attribute is used in this first normal form in the relational database management system. The next one, the next important thing is second normal form. So what is the second normal form? So to be frank, in the second normal form, a relation must be in the first normal form and the relation must be in the contain two different partial dependencies. So what is the partial dependency? What is the dependency? We must know the each and every word meaning whatever we are studying. So what is the dependency? Depending on something. Okay, so for making the process to be done, we are depending on something. So we are depending on any product, we are depending on any members, or depending on any other some organization for doing our process to be independently and successfully completion. That is called dependency. What is called partial dependency? So partial dependency means the 50-50 level, or making the process by yourself or making the process by the dependent person. That is called as a partial dependency. So this second normal form is partially dependent on the first normal form. So that is the meaning. So partial dependency is done here in the second normal form. A relation is in 2NF, it has no partial dependency because non-prime attribute, okay, it is called as this 2NF, it is called as non-prime attribute. This non-prime attribute will have the candidate key or a dependent key. Okay, two different keys are there. One is candidate key and the dependent key, or any other proper subset of any candidate key of the particular table which is already created in the second normal form. So what is the partial dependency? So we are going to hear for the partial dependency. So if the proper subset of the candidate, okay, if it is a proper subset of a particular candidate key, determine. So what is determine? Just finding out the process, that is called as a determine. Determines a non-prime attribute, okay, it is called as a non-prime attribute. It is called partial dependency. So what is the third normal form? So the third normal form will have the relation in the thing of if there is no transitive dependency. So two differences are there. One, it is partial dependency, another is called a transitive dependency. For the non-prime attributes, okay, whatever are the different non-prime attributes, that particular as well as we are seeing in the second normal form. So when we are comparing this second normal form to the first normal form, we can easily identify which is the best normal form according to the data set which is already stored in the table format in the RDBMS. So that is the main format. Next one, a relation in 3NF is at least one of the following condition codes. So by using the condition, different levels of condition or different set of condition, what we are using in this 3 normal, that is the third normal form, holds the every non-trivial function dependent, that is the x belongs to y. So whenever this constitute level of storing the data values. So we are giving the numerical data or character data or string data, whatever the data is inputted inside the particular tabular format. So when it is derived, when the format is derived, we can easily identify whether the x value are given or whether the y values are given. So that is the main important thing. The next important thing is the x is a super key. So now we are giving a definition for x. So what is an x? X is a variable, or we can take it as an attribute, or we can take it as an argument. So x is a super key, y is the prime attribute. So two different definitions are given here for x and y in the third normal form. Each element of y, each and every particular element of y is the part of some different candidate keys. So each of the particular different candidate keys. Next important thing is the Boyce code normal form. So that is called Bcnf. So what is called Bcnf? Boyce code normal form. So this is the particular normal form that is used for the free from the data redundancy. So when you are using this Boyce code normal form, the data repetition is avoided at the particular circumstance. So that is the main important factor. That is called Bcnf. That is called Boyce code normal form. So if a particular relation is in Bcnf, then the 3NF, that is called third normal form, is also satisfied. So until that satisfied condition is given, only this Boyce code normal form will control the data dependency, or control the data redundancy and the data that is repeatedly coming through the format. Next, if all the attributes of the relations are prime attributes. So now we are giving the condition. What condition we are giving as is, if all the attributes of that particular relation are prime attributes, prime different kind of attributes, then the relation is always in the 3NF. All the particular attributes level, we are call it as a third normal, that is called as 3NF. So a relation in a relation database, okay, a particular relation in a relation database is always at least in the one normal form. So all the particular database what we are stored is consistent, or already it is defined in a third normal form. Every binary relation, so what is a binary means? Whether it is 0 or 1, that is called as a binary. So giving the format of binary, so it should be yes or no. So that is called as a binary relation. So every binary relation of a relation with only two different attributes is always a Boyce code normal form. So he is the person who identifies the coded form, whether it is normalization or whether it is 1NF, 2NF, all these things. This Boyce code is a person who identified all these things in the format of when we are using this particular table. So if a relation has only the single candidate, okay, singleton candidate keys, so all these singleton candidate keys we are using in the consistency of only one particular level of attributes. Only this particular level of attributes can use the data dependencies when it is already, we have made the process, already the table is stored in a particular database. We are given a database table name of what is the purpose of giving the name? To retrieve the table or to retrieve the particular data from the table whenever it is needed. So that is the attribute that is given. Next one, something going for Bcnf. So something when we are using for the Bcnf, that is the voice code normal form, may not preserve the functional dependencies. It may not preserve the functional dependencies in that particular case. Go for Bcnf, that is the voice code normal form, only the lost FDs, that is the required thing. So there are many more normal forms that exist after the Bcnf. So for storing the values and particular data that is already stored, like 4NF, 3NF, 2NF and 1NF. All these normal forms combined to form together for the normalization. So next important factor is introduction to Oracle. So now we are going for the introduction of Oracle. What is an Oracle format? So Oracle is the 4th generation relational database management system. So up to that format, we are creating the table. Inside the table, we are giving the query. Query means whatever the query that is given to the system, when it is identified to read the query whenever it is needed for that. So that is the Oracle. Oracle is the 4th generation relational language. So in general, a database management system, DBMS, must be able to reliably manage. Okay, it must be reliably able to manage the large amount of huge amount of data that is already stored in a multi-user environment. So already we have seen in the difference between DBMS and RDBMS. We have seen the one important point that RDBMS is a multi-user environment, because so many persons of a different categories of data can access that particular table in the same time. That is called as a multi-user environment. So this particular data, large amount of data in a multi-user environment, so that many users can concurrently access the same data. So that is the main important factor of we are using the Oracle. Oracle is the main backend source. Oracle is the main backend storage in any of the front-end application what we are using. With the Visual Basic, we can connect the Oracle. We are using the .NET framework, we can use the Oracle. Whether we are using the Java programming language, we can use the Oracle as a backend. So Oracle is a particular backend process. And the main purpose of using the Oracle is only the primary storage of data. Different set of data or different kinds of data which can be already stored in any format, whether it is any format, whether it is audio format, video format, text format, image format, whatever it may be. We can store any format of data in Oracle database. The only thing is you have to store it in the tabular format. Next one, this particular thing, all this must be accomplished while delivering the high performance. All these particular Oracle which we are saying that must be accomplished while delivering high performance to the users of that particular database. So delivering a particular high performance level. So this DBMS must also be secure from unauthorized access. So it is secure from the unauthorized access. So what is the unauthorized? Because there are two different purposes for that. One it is authorization and one it is authentication. We can identify the difference. So authentication is the process that is defined. One particular user is given as a unique ID and password to access that particular system. That is called authentication. So what is an authorization? If you are given permission to access the file from the server, that is the authorized person. So he must be authorized person to retrieve or you are downloading the file from the particular server. That is called the difference between the authentication and authorization. So unauthorized access, you must know the meaning of the each and every word what you are studying in there. So that is called unauthorized access. So unauthorized access and provide the efficient solutions of failure recovery. So you must be able to recover the data which is already consistent there. So that is called the DBMS concept. So the Oracle server provides the efficient and effective way of solutions for major database features. Each and every particular major database features, it is connected with the format of Oracle, because in Oracle we are giving all the format as a query language. Okay, that is the name is given as structured query language. Okay, that is called SQL. So this Oracle consisting of many different tools, because when we are using so many number of tools, then only we can measure the performance level. Only the performance level that is measured there. Many tools that allow you to create the application. So whatever the application that is denied here, that particular application is on flexibility. So you must determine how to implement your requirements. So what are all the individual requirements? What are the individual concepts? You must determine how to implement. You need to how to implement your requirements using the features available in the Oracle along with its particular tools. So that particular features, the same features, that tools that you choose to implement your application can significantly affect the performance of your application. What is significant, what is the effect, and what is the performance? If you are doing some process, okay, if you are writing an exam, we are able to correct that particular papers, then we will evaluate your paper. What is the level of your understanding of that particular concept? That is called evaluation. The same thing comes under the concept of Oracle database performance. So you need to some tools to correct that performance, to measure that performance level. How we are using that particular tools. So it consisting of many different tools that allow you to create an application, Oracle application, with the ease and flexibility. If that is not flexibility of usage, then it is very hard to identify or very hard to determine whatever the value that is already inserted in that particular thing. Next, you must to determine. So this particular documentation will lead you to the main features of the tools of that particular Oracle. So that is called documentation. So each and every process what you have completed, you must be able to report that format. Okay, you must be able to report that documentation. So that particular documentation will lead you to the main features of the tools to the Oracle. So taking all the different types of oracles and all the particular things we are need to, this particular lead you to the intending to give you the partial view of what is available. Now we are going to say about the Oracle architecture. So what is an Oracle architecture? So beyond this, we are coming to the conclusion that we are coming here, the Oracle architecture here. So this architecture provides a basic understanding of the big picture, including the concept of terminology and the Oracle server. So what is the terminology and what is the server? How these two words are interrelatedly connected to the Oracle. So that is the Oracle architecture. It provides the basic understanding of the big picture of understanding the basic things. The next important thing is starting the Oracle and other important information provides the knowledge how to set up your account and how to system environment. So working along through the account beyond that is related to the system environment. So variables. It will also use to provide the information about the Oracle that is currently working on setup, which you need to require and step up your report and report all the different problems. So you must need the account, you must need the individual environment that is used to follow that, then that particular process over there for making the Oracle as a making this server that is successfully implemented for retrieving the data, and we are storing the data in the different bilateral sets. So that is the most important factor in Oracle architecture, and starting the Oracle architecture in your particular account and system environment, and you must take to set up your report and at any cost of that particular problem. So now we are going to conclude that what is Oracle and other important thing. So information provides the knowledge and how to set up your account and other system environment, and how the Oracle is currently set up, which you will need to identify how the Oracle is stored and how the account that is created in this environment, and all the Oracle setup that is used to create the table which is already the data which is already inserted into this particular thing. Thank you.